people. Welcome to 321 No Kiddin. Bobby the Awesome here. Today we have with us Ann Marie Tauss, who is going to share some information about, well, relating specifically to food addiction and overeating. And I think there's a lot of valuable nuggets in here that relate to gambling or the fact that they're both behavioral addictions, as well as a lot of people who suffer from one can suffer from another. So without further ado, here is Ann.
Hello, Ann. Welcome to 321 No Kiddin. How are you today?
Just fine, thank you.
Would you mind starting us off with a brief introduction? Who you are, where you're from, why you're here?
Sure. My name is Ann Marie Tauss, and I'm from just outside of Washington, D.C., nation's capital, in Manassas, Virginia. And I am a mother of two. They're 9.5 years apart. So I have a 17-year-old and a 26-year-old. And let's see, I am a master transformational health coach, and I specialize with weight loss surgery patients who've regained weight, who are pretty much addicted either to food or to sugar and are feeling like a failure, and they want to go, become a success and achieve the weight loss that they've set out to have.
Wow, that's a big mission. Very relevant. I'm an ice cream-aholic myself, so I can relate to the sugar thing. And I also noticed that since I've given up alcohol, I like sugar more. I have those cravings. So it sounds very specific. Do you mind sharing with us what kind of brought you to that space?
Sure. 19 years ago, I actually had what they call an open Roux-en-Y, which is a gastric bypass, where they go in and they make your stomach about the size of your fist, maybe a little bit smaller, and reroute your intestines. So you do get malabsorption with that. And I went through a lot of ups and downs. I could maintain my weight for a while, but I was never a good eater. I liked my sugar. I liked my chips. And so I started developing a lot of health issues, hypothyroidism, hypoglycemia, which is when your blood sugar drops low. It would never go high, but it would always go low because of how my eating and my malabsorption that was going on. So I came to really a low point in my life where I started to get closer and closer to my starting weight when I had the surgery. And I just basically said, enough is enough. I have to find a way out. And my way out was coming across a coaching program that took me through not only how to coach other people, but I was able to get coached. And through that transformational coaching, I understood where all of my problems, that addiction to food, was really coming from in my belief system that I was not worthy. And in changing all of those beliefs, then I could then address what foods were better for me and what I could do when those beliefs, that idea kept coming back into my mind, and move forward and lose the weight and maintain that weight loss. And now I'm on a mission to really serve my brothers and sisters in the weight loss community. I would love to serve 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 of the weight loss surgery community to help them kick their addiction to food.
That's a heck of a BHAG. For my audience, a BHAG, Ann and I have met in a different kind of coaching program, a business program, and BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal, and I love that you're shooting for 50,000. I want to ask you, I didn't understand one of the things that you said, and well, I have two questions. One was, you said that our stomachs are for the surgery, the size of our fist. So I'm curious to do you have a comparable, what a normal size stomach size would compare to?
When they're done, if you took like 2 to 4 ounces is basically all the stomach right after surgery would hold. So if you imagine your stomach now is probably an eighth of the size that a regular person's is.
Okay, thank you. And then malabsorption, I'm not familiar with that either. I'm sorry to get technical, but I don't understand.
No, it's a term that when we eat food, our body absorbs all the nutrients from that food and how it processes that food. And when you reroute what God gave us as far as your intestines is concerned, you lose some of that ability to break down the food and absorb those nutrients. So it's extremely important then to supplement your diet with vitamins and mineral supplements, because your body doesn't absorb it like you would normally, a normal person.
Okay, thank you. I'm clearer now.
I don't like to say normal people, because I think that even a weight loss surgery patient is a normal person. It's just that they've undergone surgery to help them lose weight. But yeah.
So okay, now I can get back into your story a little bit. So you're working with this transformational health coach.
Mm-hmm.
And can you share a little like what that experience was? Like, what was the timeline? What kind of, maybe some of the activities or your process to, like, would you have considered yourself like a sugar addict before the surgery and changing how you eat today?
Oh yeah. I was definitely a sugar addict. But my sugar addiction is on a scale of 1 to 5 was probably right at a 3. My partner is a recovering alcoholic, and his is at a 6.
Okay.
Lots and lots of sugar to account for that, because alcohol is primarily sugar. Your body metabolizes it like sugar. So when you're not doing the alcohol, the sugar comes into play. And we see that a lot even with weight loss surgery patients, that they switch their food addiction to alcohol addiction, or even a gambling. There is a mindset of an addiction that is universal. If you have that gene or whatever it is that makes you susceptible to addiction, it doesn't matter what it is. If you stop one, you can pick up another one. My partner went years ago, had stopped alcohol, and then got addicted to prescription painkillers. Got off the prescription painkillers and got back on alcohol. Got off alcohol, got on sugar. So it is a vicious cycle when you do have that inside of you, that you are addicted. So that when I say, I was like a 3. I liked my sugar, but I didn't actually have to have it. It's just that, I'm feeling sad, or, I've had a hard day. Oh, let me just have, you know, and we're talking about the bite-sized Snickers. So, I mean, I could never eat, you know, like a large Snickers bar because it would make me physically sick. But I could have a you know, snack size one, or one of the snack size M&M peanuts, and I'd be fine. Because when you overdose on sugar when you're a gastric bypass patient, it causes what they call dumping. Your blood sugar drops, you get sweats, you shake, and sometimes you get diarrhea. It depends on the person, what their reactions are. And it can be quite scary because you can get dizzy and you can get nauseous. I mean, it's a whole gamut of when what they call dumping syndrome happens. But I knew exactly what that edge was, and I'd get right up on that edge. You know, yeah. So when you can say that you do it every day, then I consider that more of an addiction.
I wish people could see your face because
borderline, but I could give it up, and I have given it up. You know, so that's kind of really the beauty, is that for me, I know I don't have that addictive quality, but I do see that a lot in other people, and being able to walk them through there's several different techniques that we use as transformational coaches. One of them is what we call, you know, a regression path, where you identify what your belief is about yourself. Say, for instance, here we go. So, Bobby, what do you believe to be true about yourself?
What do I believe to be true?
Yeah.
That I'm capable of doing anything I put my mind to.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm brave when it comes to life choices. Maybe not so much with snakes and spiders, but brave with, you know, being independent. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I know, is I'm pretty independent. Are you looking for negative things that I believe to be true?
Well, what state are you in today? How do you feel today?
Oh, what a day to ask. Being the last day of my 9 to 5, I've been trying to figure out how I felt all day. And I'll be honest, it's been a weird week, and I don't know if I'm afraid. I don't feel like I'm afraid because of giving up a consistent salary and putting all my faith into my dreams. I don't know if it's sadness because I'm not going to see my friends when everybody goes back to the office. I don't know if it's a loss of security. I'm a little confused about my emotions today. I don't know if it's, yay, I'm now officially on my own. Like, I'm really I haven't sorted it out.
Well, what would somebody that has quit their job and is feeling fearful about a new adventure believe about themselves, possibly?
They have to believe they're capable. I think they would be excited and looking forward to it.
But if they had the fear, if fear was, what would they have to believe about themselves to be fearful?
They would have to think that they're maybe not problem solvers, you know, like they couldn't come up with the solutions, that they need that security. Like when I called my mother, she cried. When I told her I had given my notice, she cried. And at first I was offended by that. And what it is people want that security. So the fear would come from lack of health insurance, lack of steady pay, the roof over my head, all those things would drive the fear.
Exactly. But you said something very key. You said that that they would have to believe that they're not capable. Okay. So I would key in on that. And then what we would do is we would take a trip through time to a younger version of yourself where that fear of not being capable was first brought up. And usually when we're talking about beliefs, and this is what I found so fascinating going through coaching, was our beliefs are created when we're very, very young, like around 3 or 4 years old. So before the age of 5. So if we went back to that 3 or 4-year-old, their beliefs are created out of their knowledge and their experiences. So what does a 3 or 4-year-old really know, and what have they experienced in the 3 or 4 years they've been on Earth? Well, they gather that from everything that goes on around them. And when things are said or things are happening around them, then they have to make sense of that. And because they're natural pleasers, they take on a lot of the things that are going on around them. Say they were in their parent was abusive, or their siblings were very mean to them, then they would internalize that. Well, I'm not good enough. Oh, I must be stupid. Oh, I'm not worthy. These types of beliefs start to form. And if they're never addressed at that age, then we bring them forward with us into our adulthood. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it's unconscious in us that, oh, I'm not smart enough to do this. Therefore, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to make some really bad decisions. Things are not going to go well. They're going to fail. And that's going to reinforce my belief. So it's a vicious little cycle, when in actuality, if we take you back to that young age, re-imprint a more positive belief, then bring you forward. It doesn't change the events that happen in your life, but you're seeing it through a different set of eyes, because now you can go, oh, when I, excuse me, when I got fired from my first job, oh, it wasn't because I was stupid or whatever. It was something else. You see it from a different angle, because now you've changed your belief about yourself. You didn't change the experience, but now I can make a different meaning about it. And that kind of brings it forward. It's not a one-time thing. You don't just go wake up, after you go through a session and go, oh, well, that's good. My life is great. And I can go on and do everything. It has to be reinforced every single day. And you do that through, it's part of my self-care regime to do positive affirmations. As a matter of fact, I have liquid chalk markers, and I actually write on my mirror. Every week I have a different saying, a different affirmation. This week it says, I am worthy. So I see that. I go in the morning, throughout the day, because now we're working from home, and I say, I am worthy, I am worthy. And so it is constantly throwing it in my face. And any positive affirmation, I can solve any problem that comes my way. I am smart to determine, whatever it is. It's part of that, really ingraining that positivity in your life. One of the great things that especially if you write it, it's your affirmation. It seems to really anchor it in. I also wear, I'm not wearing it right now, but I also wear a bracelet, which is also another anchor for me. And it has a little tree of life emblem on it, which symbolizes to me that, you know, the whole beauty of the root system feeds the branches and the leaves, so a tree can grow and become what it wants to become or what it was meant to become. And without feeding those roots, without feeding your body that goodness, then the tree itself cannot grow and blossom and survive.
Talking to a florist, so I get that. Ex-florist as of today. I could definitely relate to that. Thank you for being so clear on that. One of the things that continues to show up with the guests that I've had on and in my own life, my journey especially the last year, is this going back to childhood and reprogramming. There's been different spins on approaches and that kind of thing, but it keeps getting verified or growing more and more validity. So I'm definitely a believer. I can't remember that. That's one of my struggles, is I can't remember being 3 or 4 for whatever reason. But I've grasped the themes of my life that I believe caused me to do the things that I've done. So that's regression, you called it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You also said that was one. Do you want to give another example or two of other things you might use in your coaching, or am I asking for top secret stuff?
No, we also do a lot of, there's a difference between imagining a better version of yourself and doing what they call like a dress rehearsal. So if you imagine yourself, when you close your eyes and you do a memory. Okay, so if you were to do a memory of, say you were at the beach. So if you were to close your eyes and you're doing a memory, how do you see yourself? That's the first question that we ask, because if you see a person in front of you, that's you imagining. If you see the ocean and you look down and there's your body, then that's more of what a rehearsal. So that when you are looking at trying to get someone fully into the emotions and the feelings and everything that goes on around, if you're trying to look at a better version of themselves, say for instance, I want to look at me not being addicted to food and being, 20 pounds lighter. Okay, well, let's take you into that body, step into that body, put your hands where their hands are and look out through their eyes and what's going on? How are people reacting to them? And so that gives them that feeling complete of what it would be like to be that version of themselves. Football players, all pro athletes, when they're training and getting ready for the big day, they actually go through something very similar to how they're going to, I'm going to move this way, I'm going to move that way, I'm going to have the ball, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They actually see themselves through their eyes doing that, so that it makes them achieve what they have then done a rehearsal on.
So the rehearsal part is good. It's good to practice.
Oh, yes. The more you practice, the more into getting yourself there that you'll be.
Wow. That's completely new to me. So thank you for sharing that. Just
Yeah,
like
it's a little ninja trick that came out of pro athletes, and I absolutely love it. It does take some practice for people to be able to not see it from a third party kind of situation. I struggled in the very beginning because I kept on just seeing, okay, I'm over there, I'm like the fly on the wall watching the whole scene take place, when in actuality, once I was able to get closer and closer and closer and get into that other version of me, then it all came together, and you're like, whoo, yeah, I like this. I think I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work harder at changing those habits. And we don't look at it as, let's do, a gigantic overhaul of everything in your life. For some people, they may be able to maintain that maybe a week, maybe 3 days. But if you make little tiny changes, they don't even notice. So then, after about 3 months or so, you've made enough of these little teeny tiny changes that it's like, wow, look at this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. And, I'm eating this and I'm really loving this. And you really become very curious as to, what's going on in your life. It's like when I always say to my kids, your room's a mess. Pick one corner, start there, start small, get a win, then move on. And I use that technique even with my clients because it makes more sense to do something very small, get a win, and then you feel like a success. You feel like you have accomplished something. You may not see a 20-pound weight loss, in a week, a month, or, maybe probably closer to 3 months, depending on, where you're at. But it's the idea that if it's small enough, then you have a better chance of it sticking with you longer term.
Wow. I appreciate you sharing that. Blowing my mind right now. Yeah, it's totally blowing my mind. It's like, it's challenging me to think different just listening to you. So we're still a little bit in COVID land. Are these practices things that you can do virtually with people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not slowing you down.
No, it doesn't slow me down at all. As long as, we have the ability to chat virtual face-to-face. It does make it easier for me to be able to read somebody's body language, especially when there's a longer silence, because people do have to think and process information. Everybody's at a little different rate. So it makes it easier to see, oh, are you being distracted by the dog? Or are you just really thinking? I've done some on the over the phone. It's not as easy because you don't see that level of engagement.
I could see that being difficult for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very exciting. It sounds like it has to be an adventure when working with people. Like you probably get different experiences because everybody's different. So it has to be pretty exciting as a coach.
It is. It's very exciting. But, I see some trends, definitely. And I know you and I had talked a little earlier about self-care, and which is one of the themes, especially now with COVID. People have just thrown it away. They don't believe that they need to take care of themselves. And when you're looking at everything that's going on and you're stressed, and rightly so, I mean, this is a totally unprecedented time. That level of stress, whenever the body's under stress, you have to understand that our body goes into a fight or flight mode. So all of our energy goes to our arms and our legs. There's nothing left for our gut. So if you're eating and eating and eating and eating under that circumstance, your gut can't process it. So you feel bloated, you have terrible indigestion, you know, you're packing on the pounds because your body can't process it. It's just sitting there. And by using some techniques to bring you back into a state of calm, so your body then returns the energy to the gut so that it then can process the food that you want, or that it needs rather. But there's also other things to do for self-care that can get you. I use a breathing technique is one. There are other techniques where you find something that re-energizes you. For some people, it's crafts, knitting, coloring. I mean, I used to love to color as a kid, and picking it up now and as an adult, you know, picking up a coloring book may seem kind of silly, but it's just a way to relax the mind, get you out of thinking about everything that's going on around you in this world, and get you focused on something small. And self-care can also be as simple as, you know, for us ladies, going in and putting on a facial mask, you know, a little pampering here and there, going for a walk, just sitting in the sun for 5 to 10 minutes. It's, you know, you have to look at what energizes, what gives you energy or renews your energy, because you can't serve others from an empty cup. So yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say you can't. It's hard. It's really hard. They're not getting the best of you. If your cup is nice and full, then they're getting the best of you, and they feel that love and everything from you so much easier. And then you don't feel stressed. Oh my gosh, I gotta run this, and I gotta go over here and do this, and oh, the laundry and work, and you start getting, your mind starts crazing you out, and you're so stressed. And that's when those addictive qualities start to come back in, whether it's sugar or alcohol or even gambling or whatever it is that you turn to in those times of deep stress, usually when your body is empty, when your stress has taken everything out of you, and you need to refill that body, refill your soul, by doing some very simple self-care, whether it's yoga, as I said, coloring in a coloring book. I love asking my clients what did they love to do as children? What did they love to do? Well, you know what? If you still have the ability to do it, I mean, let's face it, I probably wouldn't be able to do some double Dutch, but yeah, I mean, you think about what you really like to do as a kid, and you can always be young at heart and pick something back up that you really like to do. And you knew that as a kid, that kind of, wow, that just psyched you up, and you were, oh yeah, let's go. And you could do it for hours. It's that kind of re-energizing that we're looking for in those simple self-care things that you can do, instead of eating sugar, you know, and doing other things.
You said so many things there, so many things. Yeah, so much good stuff in there. So what I talk about with my audience, I was telling you before we went live, you know, that I've done this big COVID stretch. And one of the things that just showed up for me when I was speaking, and you kind of said it in a little different format. So I want to call this out, especially for my audience that's constantly here and hears me talk about the bucket. So when I talk about my bucket, I talk about all the negative stuff that we hang on to, the shame and the guilt and all this crap, right? And I'm preaching constantly that we need to empty our bucket of this negative so that we have room for the positive. And you just did a beautiful job of describing even more so why it's important. So we have to do the work to get rid of the negative, but we can't take care of anyone else or ourselves if we don't have the positive in there. So you just gave it a new little twist, and I appreciate you calling that out. I know it wasn't intentional, but it was beautiful.
Yes. No, it's just so powerful to understand that we, especially right now with COVID, if you think about your immune system, I mean, if we break it down just to that, when you're under stress, your immune system is fighting. I mean, it's fighting for its life. Now you got this virus out there, and it's even more important for you not to have that stress in your life. And yeah, I mean, it's so powerful in your mind. Our minds are just this wonderful, powerful entity. And if we look at it and develop it and put all the positive in it every single day, then it's like magic. I have this exercise that to show how powerful your body, your mind really is. Unfortunately, it's a visual, but it really goes to when you close your eyes and your mind can take over what it believes is true in front of you, and so I filling that cup up with all that positive helps.
Yeah, it's just really resonating with me. There was another thought. Oh, the playing as adults.
Yes.
So my dream, part of why I wanted to leave my very well-paying job to get to my dream, I gave it up because even though it was good, it wasn't going to be lucrative enough to build what I want to build, which is recovery playgrounds, is what I'm calling them.
Ooh.
So the idea is it's going to be, so most addicts, generally speaking, an easy way to relapse is from boredom. So I want a place that helps cure the boredom and has community, and then where adults can play, and there's going to be no children around. That's where the name No Kiddin comes from. Mm-hmm. No kids in is like they're not going to be allowed in my facility. It's adults only that can play. So you're the second influence in the last couple of days where this topic's come up for the need. So I know I'm on the right track with this vision of what I want to do. So again, like you're just giving me some really good nuggets. So is there anything that you want to touch on specifically that I didn't ask? Like I kind of want to ask you down the road if you'd be willing. You talked about having a partner that's had issues. I think maybe we can have another conversation about that if you were willing.
Sure.
Down the road. But is there anything that you want to touch on before we get going today?
I don't, but for your listeners, I do have a freebie that they are more than welcome to get, and it is 3 simple steps, 3 simple tricks to stop sugar cravings.
Ooh, love it.
And they to get.gps, the number 4, alife.com.
Okay, and I'll make sure that that is in my show notes. That's awesome. Get.gps for a life.
Yes. GPS for Life is my company name. I deal with finding a road to a better you. Therefore, if you use a GPS for your car navigation, why would you not want a GPS for your life? And know to be able to get where you want to go without having to make 3,000 wrong turns.
That is brilliant.
Well, I am navigationally challenged. I cannot drive my car without my GPS, and I really wouldn't want to live my life without a life GPS.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love that. Well, Ann, I have totally enjoyed this. I'm so glad that we connected and that you were able to share what you're capable of and the kind of services that you offer. I know that you have a focus on weight loss, but the content that you just shared is so valuable, I think, to anybody and everybody, because I don't think that there's an adult out here that doesn't have beliefs that are limiting to them, or those thoughts or those perceptions on the outside looking in. So you just did a great job of conveying all that, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure. It is universal, more than just weight loss surgery patients, but it was the group that I resonated with the most because of the overwhelming shame and just feeling like a failure that they have because they went through this very invasive surgery and have now started to regain weight. Some of them are even higher than when they started. And that can just feel, you just want to go into the closet and hide and die. Which is a whole other suicide prevention. But then they turn to alcohol, or they turn to other substances to get them through. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're actually recording this on Suicide Prevention Day.
No.
Believe it or not, it won't air that at that time, but yeah, I understand having the connection to a certain audience. But you described, I mean, I had gone over a month without a cigarette, and I've been smoking lately, and it's the same. I know those feelings, and I know a girl that I mentor, I just got a note today, same thing. She went back and gambled, and is having you just described the feelings that we feel. So that's what I'm connected to really very powerfully is what you're saying about the feelings. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I have all the information. Thank you again for being here, Ann. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm so grateful to continue to find people smarter than me on so many different topics that tie into our self-care or how to deal with whatever's going on with us. So today I'm going to end it with a quote from Christine Langley Oba. We repeat what we don't repair. Thanks for tuning in, beautiful people. Till next time.